What is going on, everybody? Happy Friday. Bobby Fi here, flying solo. Hopefully, Sheep's just having a good time on his little vacation. He'll be back next week. But we've got it. We've got it covered for you here, at least as far as today goes. Saturday, we're going to have some. We don't have anybody doing any live shows or anything. If I do play at all, I will post anything in there. We do have the projections from Goldie and from SaberSim and all that stuff. So let's get after it tonight. Let's talk about what we're doing. Look, man, the way that I'm looking at this slate is basically everybody with the exception of me trying to fit Giannis in is basically going to come from the games at 8 Eastern or later. And that's what I'm going to wait to do. Whatever information we get between now and then that gives you an advantage. But it's also just the games I like way better. So I don't really need to overly force my issue until after the lock. From the first games, if I played anybody, Halliburton, Bruce Brown, that would probably be my favorites from Indy. Really hard to get to anything. Maybe Jared Allen from Cleveland, but I don't think I really want anything. I don't mind if you want to run back either Brunson or Randall with Giannis. I like the idea of playing some Giannis today to get a little bit different on DraftKings. I did find enough value to play a Luka and Jokic build on FanDuel. A little bit thin in some spots, but I'm not getting to it on DraftKings. It's feeling much more like a mid-tier type of build. That's also going to be popular, which is going to keep these studs really low owned. And Giannis at 11K. If you think about it, Giannis at 11K versus Luka with Kyrie back at 13K, it just kind of makes him interesting. And the 11K for Giannis would have basically been an automatic plug and play every day for the last 5 years. And right now, it's just not the case. And partly it's because we're a little bit starved for value. So the main focus for me is going to be the Memphis-Portland game. I'm going to have it stacked a bunch of different ways. I'm assuming Sharp plays. My favorites being Brogdon, Sharp, Jeremy Grant. I like DeAndre Ayton a lot. I probably will be over the field on him. I'll be over the field probably on everybody in this game because I'm going to have every part of this game, and I know others will as well, but maybe not quite as hard a stack as I'm going with. I like Smart and Tillman the best. I like Zaire Williams at this price, and I think I will definitely try to rotate getting some Bane and Jackson, even though they're a little bit more expensive. I'm also going to mix in some guys like Luke Kennard. I know it's a thin play, but you take some shots in the later games and you see what value opens up in between. Matthias Steibel might end up starting. You could always switch over to that direction, but that's going to be the game that decides what's happening with me. And with Barrett out for the Knicks, thanks for the update. I appreciate that, Dunbar. That does boost Randall. So I'm going to say Randall and Brunson especially, along with we have to decide what to do with Quickly, whether we want to play Quickly, Grimes, or do we just want to give more love to the other two? I think that getting some exposure to all makes some sense. It's a matchup where I could see Quickly having a big game here. It's not like he's or Josh Hart, excuse me. I'm sorry. Josh Hart, I keep saying Quickly. Quickly's a little bit more expensive. Josh Hart is a little bit more reasonable. And assuming that he starts and plays the minutes, I think that he's probably the natural place to go. But I would get a little bit of Grimes exposure as well. And definitely think that springs itself forward to where now I don't have anything to do until 7:30 Eastern. And now it makes it even more fun to throw a Giannis run back because the usage on the New York side is high. So I like the idea. Maybe to play Hart and either Brunson or Randall. I think Randall's a very solid play, but I think they're pretty similar, Randall and Brunson here. And maybe I would give a little bit of an edge to Randall, but maybe I'd give it a little edge to Brunson. It's really close between those two. Play that with Hart and then Giannis, and then use the late games for everything else. I think that's a really good way to go. The other guys I'm looking at, one of Levine, Vooch, DeRozan, and Derek White. I like the idea of getting one of those guys. They all feel a little too cheap for me on DK against Brooklyn. No one's going to play Brooklyn. I don't think it's a terrible idea to get some Ben Simmons or some Cam Thomas, and that's I'll leave it at that. I don't love anything else there, but I do think those guys are viable. I also don't mind if you want to play Royce O'Neal or Dorian Finney-Smith, but not like a huge priority for me. OKC with no Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Favorite play there would be Jalen Williams. I love Chet Holmgren, and I love that he's not getting ownership. I will probably have like 30% Chet Holmgren tonight. He is one of the guys in the games at 8 o'clock that I really like. I also am going to go after Giddey, who's also going to be very low owned, and I feel really good about that. Jalen Williams is the priority, but I want to get some exposure to the other guys. Might even get some exposure to Isaiah Joe and Lou Dort. I'm a little lower on Isaiah Joe than I think the field is, but they do need some shooting, so I might have to revisit that one. And Isaiah Joe fits into this group. There's five value plays that I'm looking at. Kennard's sort of a thin one, but Derek Jones Jr., assuming that he starts 3,600, very thin, but again, we don't have a ton of value. Same with Josh Richardson. I'm a little bit more intent on going with Kamara. I think that's probably the best one. That's Camara, not Kamra. This is not football, just to remind everybody. And then Isaiah Joe would be in there. So I'm going to probably get to a little bit of Joe in the end, as I'm just very high on this game. Not really touching much in the way of Miami, Washington. And I'm okay with so many other than Richardson. I'm totally okay with Josh Richardson. I forgot to mention, I do like Kevin Love in that game. So Love also fits in that weird price tier, but he's at a position where it's a little bit heavier. But I would get some exposure to both Love and Richardson tonight. And I don't think you just like Richardson, these guys are projecting within a couple fantasy points of each other, and Richardson's going to have 6 times the ownership. I think it's worth it to take a shot on Kevin Love in that type of situation. So I'm going to add that. Dallas and Denver, again, I mentioned the Derek Jones Jr., that's fine. I don't love it, but again, I don't love a lot of value on this slate. So sort of the similar type of thing as the Kennard, Richardson. Kamara is my favorite of those guys, but I do think you consider a little bit of Derek Jones Jr. for sure. And then on the other side with Denver, it's really just, okay, do you want to play Jokic and do you want to play Luka? Like I said, I'm playing them together on FanDuel. I'm not getting to them on DK as of right now, just not enough value for me. Isaiah Joe on FanDuel, you're going to have to let me know the price because I'm only one person, Clay. So just like, what's Isaiah? I like him. I can already tell you without looking at the price. I don't have any of him on FanDuel, and I don't like him in general on FanDuel because he's going to rely almost exclusively on his 3-point shooting. And we don't even know, like, right now he's projected to start. We have no idea if he'll start. So that just sort of goes along with delay, find the starting lineups at the 8 Eastern games. Now we have the 7:30 Eastern game to think about too, a little bit with the Knicks side and maybe a Giannis run back. But mostly I would just wait to see the starting lineup before I committed to that. I do think Isaiah Joe's in play either way, but I'm not probably going to get too much of him unless he's starting. And if he is starting, I will bump him up ahead of those other value plays a little bit. But I think it's speculative at best right now just to assume that he's going to start. It could easily be Cason Wallace. I think Cason Wallace is a very good play on FanDuel. He's been really good this year in his minutes. And it could also be Aaron Wiggins, who I'm just going to avoid if that is the case, although I might get like 1 or 2 because I'm looking for value. Oh, at 3,500, I would play Isaiah Joe some. I didn't get to, what's funny? I might actually end up getting to him now, but I'd like to wait to see whether he starts. But 3,500 is obviously the minimum cost. And I think that's totally fine. I'm looking at my value guys on FanDuel because I did find enough other value that I liked. So I'll run through that, but keep popping in questions and thoughts because Cason Wallace I had as one of them. So I wouldn't play Wallace and Joe together, but I do think that you play one of them and that's totally fine. Kobe White's only 4,600 over there. Again, his skill set lends itself better to DraftKings, just like Isaiah Joe. And then some other values that I found, Zaire Williams at 4,300, Richardson's 4,200 over there. Jeremy Grant's too cheap over there. Dorian Finney-Smith's 5K over there. Those are the other guys you can sort of use for your value on FanDuel. 3,900. Well, still, I think it's fine. I personally like Wallace a little bit better, but if Joe starts, I have no problem with playing Joe whatsoever. Totally in on that. Anyway, moving on. Okay, so basically my player pool exposures, and these are going to change drastically. But as of right now, I've got Brogdon 77%. I've got Zaire 50%. I've got Jeremy Grant 60%. I've got Marcus Smart 50%. Desmond Bane 40%. Kamara 40%. Sharp 45%. Giddey 40%. Dort 30%. And Dort's I was using him as a filler, but I don't mind if I end up with him. I'm going to try and see if I can find something better to work out, but that's where I'm at now. Love 30%, Kobe White 30%, Jalen Williams 50%, and Xavier Tillman 30%, DeAndre Ayton 30%, Chet Holmgren 30%. Those are my main ownerships. So that's what I'm doing today, guys. Now, what do you guys want to do? Because we've got a little bit of time. We'll get out of here, when questions dry up, when things dry up, but that's essentially what I'm doing. But I'm very happy to entertain any other ideas. And like I said, I think that Knicks game is a little bit, Giannis, again, 10-8 on DraftKings. I think that there's going to be a game he puts up very, very soon. Maybe it's tonight. where he puts up that 75 plus, and we're going to just be like, why didn't we play him when he was 10-8? And then, the prices go up, and then we get used to Giannis being back to Giannis ball. I don't think Lillard's going to take away this much from them in general. They've been horrible as a unit. This has been a terrible experience. They're so awful defensively in the backcourt. It's kind of weird to watch the Bucks. I mean, hot take alert, but like, it's too early in the season to say this, but I said it when it happened. Damian Lillard might have been the wrong move for them to make. I think I would rather have the team that they had than have Lillard as of right now and before the season. I don't know if it'll end up that way, but I just feel like their defense is so bad. It's just weird to watch a Bucks team. It's been one of the best, if not the best, defensive team over the last 5 years. But Damian Lillard being one of the worst defenders in the history of basketball, for those people who always argue with Damian Lillard being in the same conversation with the other guys, just spare it me. In real basketball terms, Damian Lillard is not in the same level or not even close to a lot of the guys who he's been compared with throughout his career. He's an unbelievable offensive player, an excellent shooter, has never really won anything, and this is his best chance, and you can see he has trouble when it's not all Dame-centric. Luke Kennard, I think is viable. I mentioned that earlier, Clay. I think Luke Kennard is definitely viable. What else? Josh Hart confirmed to starter. Thank you, Nick. Good info to have. I think Josh Hart is going to look like a good play. I know that he let everybody down, and I'm hoping that keeps everyone off the scent. I think he let everyone down. Let me just double check before I say that, because I remember it was sort of a lackluster 25 fantasy points, right? Yeah, that's what it was. 25. So I think we can totally go back to that. And again, still the Bucks play that drop coverage. You're going to have shooters open, and getting a little bit of exposure to Josh Hart for that reason, although he's a very streaky shooter at best. To some extent with Quentin Grimes, and then the one who can break the slate is Immanuel Quickley. I think that he's a really good, especially large field, but probably all field tournament play. All right, guys, please click the like button. Remember, it's 25% off of the first month if you click the promo code. If you hit the promo code when you sign up with us, promo code BobbyFi NBA, and Let's talk about whatever else you guys have. Ask questions. There's a ton of people in there. We need the like button smashed. We need to get what you guys want to do, but you've got a pretty good idea of what I'm doing. So I'm just sitting here playing the waiting game on whatever you guys think is the way you want to attack the slate, or if you have any questions, because I tend to run through my stuff pretty fast when we don't have brand new news. And I will at the projections update a little bit with the information about Randall, but I really like to answer questions and leave time for that. So I'm happy to see. Miles Turner always in play on FanDuel. Not a priority by any means for me whatsoever. I didn't get to any of them. I prefer other plays. My centers on FanDuel right now are Jokic and Tillman, but I have no problem ever playing Aloha and Miles Sanders. I always do that. Miles Turner, Miles Sanders. Okay, football and basketball, too much on the brain. I was doing my football stuff as well today, so I'll have that stuff out for you guys sometime either later this evening or this weekend. Damn right. Should have kept. Yeah, there you go. Is Luka Big Yoke viable? So yes, that's what I'm. Sam Destu, to answer your question, Luka and Jokic, they're in play for me. I can't get to them on DraftKings and with a lineup that I feel comfortable with, so I'm playing them on FanDuel together, where I do feel more comfortable with my lineup. So yeah, absolutely got you there, to Sam Destu. I want to do it. The value just is reaching. If we get some weird other guys announced out before that game locks, yeah, it'd be great. And that's partly another great thing about stacking all your guys in the Memphis-Portland game, where 5 guys like in every lineup, is if we get a couple injuries, even to some of those guys, like Shaedon Sharpe is technically questionable, he's probable, but what if he ends up not playing? All of a sudden, we can use the value and then play Luka and Jokic or something like that. So I love the idea of backloading this slate, even though I do think the Knicks have definitely, let me just reload and get my Knicks projections up. As we expected, Josh Hart looks like a good play. I'm a little surprised how much DiVincenzo looks like a good play, and that's an interesting one. It's just a little tough for me with the Knicks because they have so many guys they can play at these interchangeable positions. And DiVincenzo played 30 minutes the other night. I don't know that I can count on that being the case every time, and Quickly played 27, put up 33 fantasy points. All of these guys are in play. I think I would be more likely just to side with Hart and the fact that he's starting. But just keep in mind, if he does fail, it's going to be because of, in part, possibly will be because of maybe DiVincenzo, maybe Immanuel Quickley. And also, as I was expected, both Randall and Quickly look like better plays than they initially did. Sorry, Randall and why can't I think about Brunson? Look like a little slightly better plays, but still not going to get much ownership. I like the idea if you're going to target anything other than the 8 Eastern games and later, or other than the, I don't know, if you're not targeting the Portland Memphis game, or even if you are, I still think you can try and combine it with a stack of Josh Hart, one of Randall, Brunson. You could even throw Mitchell Robinson in there, who's always had good games, or has often had good games against the Bucks at 5,500. And then you could run it back with Giannis. I think that makes for a really differentiating stack that I could certainly see the upside being high enough to where you could win a tournament with that. So again, guys, smash the like button. We appreciate it. I'll be here as long as we can keep answering questions. And but it seems like the questions are drying up. I know there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot to figure out. I will be in the premium Discord, and we will sort out a lot of this slate later on tonight, as we always do, because that's what we do. And it's just gonna. We already know even on this slate that there's probably going to be some news after lock, whether it's a starting lineup or whether it's a different thing. We're going to have to really scramble to try and win. But the great thing about NBA, as Sheets always points out, you can outwork people at NBA. You really can, and that comes along with staying in line, trying to keep track of everything that's happening. And we've seen some big examples. The other night when I just won 20K the other night, I could have won the 100K. Really close, by the way, like very, very, very close to happening. But it was because of the late swap I made. And it was a 4x4 late swap, which that's what does it for you sometimes. Core on FanDuel is all on the site right now. So I think you can just go ahead and take my core that's on the site. Clay, I believe you're a premium member, and you could just grab the core from there. I'm not gonna start do the thing all the time. I give away a lot of stuff for free. But when we have these paid members, we kind of have to be a little bit loyal to our members to where I can't give away the exact plays. Although I did just give away my exact exposures, they're definitely going to change, and I'm going to update our DK. But my core plays are up on FanDuel. I will give a couple of guys that differences that I like. I sort of said everybody I'm playing on FanDuel. I mentioned Zaire Williams. I like him better over there. I mentioned Jokic and Luka are gettable over there. Bane is a better price over there. Giddey, slightly better play over there. Tillman, a slightly better play over there. Porter Jr., a slightly better play over there. And Kamara, maybe a little bit of slightly better play over there. So those are the guys who, for me, stand out as being the differentiators. Well, none of those guys, I don't think I would make my core, because I don't think that those are necessarily all cash game plays. Some of them are. But just to give away a little bit of my core today, Jalen Williams is a great play over there. Jalen Williams, Marcus Smart, pretty similar. Xavier Tillman. Those are 3 guys that I have in my core over there. And Malcolm Brogdon, 4. So that's basically enough to, hey, look, you look at the core guys for other sites, and they usually put 2 guys up there. I just try to include the guys I'm going to be using over 40%. Sometimes I only use them 30%, but usually it's pretty close. Any Skylar Mays. Ugh. So I thought about this one for a while. My plan is to only play Skylar Mays if my earlier guys have completely busted right now. It feels very, very thin. He's on their depth chart. He's number 11, 10? I mean, Skylar Mays, I just think I'm not going to do it. Chris Murray, or those guys I'm just sort of leaving out. If there was another one you could maybe get a little bit frisky with, I don't think it's right though. I just don't think it's as right. I think this is a game Portland tries to win. If there was it might be Jabari Walker. Actually, is a strange play. And I didn't mention it, but if you want to take a long shot Robert Williams play, I'm not going to be the one to stop you. I don't think this is I think this is actually kind of an interesting matchup. If you get foul trouble with Ayton or anything happens, you're playing 2 bigs for Memphis. This might be the first time all year. I don't think it's happened yet. Not to my knowledge. They might have. No, they did cross over, but I think you might see a little more Robert Williams and DeAndre Ayton together here. Zaire Williams or Josh Richardson. It's always going to be Zaire when they're man down for me. Straight up, it's Zaire. To be honest, the only Witt lineups I have Richardson on FanDuel I have Zaire in the same lineup. So take that for what you will, Dunbar. I think that's the way to go. So anyway, guys, we appreciate you. We really, really appreciate all the love. Click the like button, and I'm going to go finish my builds. I will be in Discord if you have any questions. Make sure to tag me so I see that you wrote. And let's make some money tonight. Good luck, everybody.